Okay.
What be? Oh, this little, you know, it was just music. Yeah, you know, just get the mind right. Yeah, man. So, how's everyone doing? Y'all better be great.
How's y'all doing? Anybody have a long day? Like 18 hours or something crazy today?
He said, nah, not for real. Not really.
I had one class. Today was cool.
He said it's there Wednesday.
That's what I'm saying, man. Every Wednesday, Wednesday is my favorite day. So.
Hey, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome those of you viewing online as well.
Hi, guys. Okay, so, you know, for those who are new and for those who aren't, pretty much just, if you guys know the name of our organization is Millionaire Mindset Club. We started in 2012, basically, for those who know the story. I was at a place where I wasn't able to do different things athletically, so it forced me, you know, to really get in a space where I had to use my mind, where I had to become comfortable, you know, in learning and actually picking up a book and reading it. It was through that process that I found, you know, my passion in just learning and advancing. And that's really what led me kind of to the creation of this organization. And, you know, during my freshman year, I was partnered with my mentor, somebody I'm real close friends with, also my fraternity brother, John Wilson.
So Joe brought the idea to me, and we really just clicked. You know, when somebody is really talking the same stuff that you are, you can kind of feel that, and you just begin to have more and more conversations, and things happen. You begin to build, and great things happen, and that's exactly what happened here. And so for me, I'm originally from Austell. I really came from a two-parent household. I had a lot of good opportunities, and I didn't always take advantage of all of them. But one thing that I did notice is that the only person that was really stopping me was me. And at a certain point, once I came to that realization, that really changed the way that I lived. That changed my approach to life. That changed who and what determined my success. And so that's kind of what I really want to impart to everyone, right? Once you understand that you're the only thing that's in your way, right, that the greatest enemy is actually inside of you, if you can conquer that, if you can master yourself, then there's nothing that you can't do in this world. So it all begins in your mindset.
And just some principles also that we really live by, and as far as the organization lives by, is we believe that knowledge is in the money. And that's your mindset determines how you spend it. Okay? And one other quote I really like to use is, you can't have a champagne lifestyle with tap water thinking. Does that make sense? Okay, because a lot of people, there's a gap between what they want to do and how they're acting to get to what, you know what I'm saying, they want to do, or how they're thinking to get to where they want to, you know, be, or what they want to do. Does that make sense? Oh, okay. And another thing that this is, I really want to talk about action right now. And there's a story I want to share with you guys, right? So one day there were 5 frogs sitting on a log, right? Okay, you know, they're just chilling. They're all looking at each other, you know. They're like, man, okay, it's kind of a hot day. So they're like, man, I kind of want to cool off, right? So they're talking to each other. And 4 of the frogs, all right, they decide to jump off the log, right? How many frogs are left on the log now? All of them are still on the log. You know why? Because there's a difference between deciding to do something and actually taking action and doing it. Okay.
And so Joe hit on action, and you know, if you look at the top of the screen, you see 5 words. One of them is action. The other 4 are presence, focus, commitment, and open-mindedness. And so we believe that these are a few of the things that will help you become successful, not only in this room, but in life. All right. So some weeks we'll hit on all of them. Some, you know, we'll go a little bit deeper than others. Today he hit action, and what we're going to focus on today actually is in the last sentence that I just said, focus. And so for me, I found a video online that I thought really was perfect. So just check this out and follow directions.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make?
Go!
How many passes?
8.
Said 8. Said 13.
Yeah.
Who said something different from 8 or 13?
Well,
12.
they
All
try
right.
to pass it to the black team. I don't know how to do it.
Okay, cool.
The answer is 13.
Well done.
But did you see the moonwalking bear?
I did.
What?
See the bear.
That's not real.
It
Back to the beginning, that bear wasn't there.
was there.
It was there.
It was there the whole time, man. And that's kind of what we're hitting on today. Today our topic is just say no, right? So the first step to saying no is first recognizing what it is that you need to say yes to. You need to first understand the things that you want, the things that you don't want. That's the type of conversation that you need to have with yourself. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But what you tend to do is pay attention to the things that you're constantly saying yes to, right? So if you're really hyped, for me, it's fantasy football, NFL, anything. During football season, everything football, I know about it if you ask me, all right? But I tend to pay a little less attention to some other things that are really important in my life. And I have to maintain that balance. And really, I know that football isn't necessarily taking me to where I want to go right now. And so I have to make hard decisions and realize it. There are some things that I really, really want to say yes to that I probably am going to need to say yes to say no to if I want to get to where I want to go. So this is a game plan for today. We're going to hit on the Pareto principle. Then we're going to talk a little bit about motivation, inputs, influences, alignment, and then we're going to wrap up. And so we're going to roll right into it.
So first thing first is the Pareto principle. And one of my favorite guys that I consider one of my mentors, Jim Rohn, he said, too many people spend major time on minor things. And I think that perfectly ties into what the Pareto principle is talking about, because for any of you guys, who may have or may have not heard it, the Pareto principle pretty much states that 20% of the things you do account for 80% of the results. And that's across the board in life. So for instance, 20% of things in your closet you wear 80% of the time. All right, or if you're in a company, 20% of that company's sales force, right, creates 80% of that production. So the reason this is so important is because you really begin to lock in on the things that are most important. All right, because a lot of times, if your awareness is not on the things that are important, you're looking at all these other things that really don't matter at the end of the day, that aren't getting you that 80% of the results. So for instance, for school, right, a lot of times you may be studying a lot of material, right, that's not even on the test. But once you begin to know that teacher, you start focusing on that 20% of the stuff she actually talked about in class that's going to account for 80% of the information on the test. Does that kind of make sense? And how many of you guys have had a teacher like that, right? You got like 5-6 pages of notes, but only like 2 of the notes, right, or pages of notes was on the actual test, right? So this principle really is vital because it accounts for everything in life. And the reason it's important, because like John said, is you have to raise your level of awareness. And when you begin to raise your level of awareness, you can key in on the things that really matter. All right. And by saying no, you got to say no to that other 80% that doesn't account for those results. Okay. So if we were to say, okay, if you're trying to get a return on investment, for every one thing you do, you get a 16 return on your investment, right? 16 times return on investment. So for every one action that is accounting for that 80% of results, you're getting 16 times return on your investment. So it's good to find out that 20% that's accounting for that large 80% of results. You guys follow?
And what's really important to take note on here is that this guy, Pareto, I mean, he sat back, observed, maybe did a little bit of experimentation, but from all of that, he realized that this is what tends to happen. It seems like this. And people have been able to apply this in so many different situations, and it's still standard, right? And that's the thing that's really significant. So everything that Joe said is absolutely correct. And those few vital tasks are what you want to spend your time on. The issue becomes, how do you pay attention to those few vital tasks? Because a lot of times it's that 80% of stuff that's going to be screaming the loudest, right? It's going to be, yo, let me borrow $20, or it's gonna be, you know, I need a ride to the store. Can you take me when you have a test come the next day, right? You're going to have all of these different emergencies come up, things that emerge in your life that have nothing to do with the 20% of time that you need to be really paying attention to. So you have to first. Well, we'll get into that in just a second, but that's absolutely the point.
And just to touch on what John said, that's exactly true. The things that allowed us are often the things that mean the most or matter the least. Okay, and what I mean by that is, for instance, like you said, you may have an emergency or a friend who asks, hey man, you want to chill tonight? Hey man, you want to play 2K, right? But then you might have a test, a quiz on folio, right? That's not screaming at you. That's not on your phone texting, right? It's those small things that account for a large percentage of the actual results, are the actual things that are going to mean the most in the long term as far as life. And you guys, like I said, have to figure those things out. All right, what's accounting for, again, that 80%? And like this picture says, focus on the 20% that matters. Okay, that's the key, right? Focusing in.
Yeah, I love that picture too. Magnifying glass, focusing on the key. I mean, it's just perfect. But Google is a beautiful thing, man.
All right, so what is procrastination?
The devil.
Okay, strong feeling, strong feeling.
Right.
What else do you guys think? What do you think procrastination is?
I think it's putting off things that you should do right now.
Anybody else? Okay. Why do you think people procrastinate? Or others procrastinate?
Because usually the things we have to do right now are boring, so we rather put it off to the last minute. So we absolutely have to do it. It was necessary to be done. But you know, they ain't the best thing in the world. But
I feel like they tend to or I can speak for me, I tend to minimize the importance of it. Not really the importance of it so much, but I guess not really think about how much time, I really had to do it. You know, if you think about it, I got a test in 2 weeks. I could start studying now, but I'm like, what's 2 weeks? That's a long time. Okay, it's all right, I hit it tomorrow. Oh snap, they want to go out? All right, cool, I hit it the next day. And the next thing you know, it's 2 days before the test, and I'm cramming. Mm-hmm.
I'll say the root cause of it is lack of self-discipline.
The reason why I do it is because I feel like I work well under stress. But that's only because I've only worked under stress. So I'll wait till the day or 2 days before, and I know I got to do it, so I know I'm gonna punk out something good. If I do it before, I feel like I'm gonna play around with it. It's not gonna be my best.
So what I'm hearing from a lot of people is essentially there's not enough value being placed on what needs to be done, right? So because if you don't value something, then you're not necessarily going to do it. It doesn't matter that much. You kind of always going to push it off, right? Because if I told you, because nobody really is a procrastinator. And do you guys get what I mean by that? You got, okay. You feel, have you procrastinated before? Do you feel like you could be a procrastinator? All right, if I told you to be here tomorrow at 3 o'clock and I would give you $1 million, would you be here? You're not a procrastinator then.
And that really smoothly transitions us into actually what I think will really stress the point a little bit further. But for those of you who aren't familiar with Eric Thomas, you know, we are avid Eric Thomas fans because he says a lot of stuff and breaks it down in a way that a lot of people can understand, right? He connects with a lot of different people, and he connects those people with very valuable information. All right, so y'all tune in real quick, and we're gonna watch this and then have a brief discussion afterwards.
Now, how does it feel to achieve such success overnight?
Overnight, huh? Think. ASAP, ASAP, ASAP. ASAP, ASAP, ASAP. You need to know who you are and live in who you are, because when you live in who you are, you start asking different kind of questions, right? So I was a little disappointed. This young lady in Melbourne, she asked me, I only gave 5 people a chance. It was a free engagement. I only gave 5 people an opportunity, right? And so she asked me, Eric, why am I a procrastinator? I said, what? Like, first of all, I don't know why you procrastinate. I don't know you. It's my first time in Australia. Like, I don't know you personally. I don't know what you do, right? But this is what I said to her, right? Because when you know who you are, listen to me, guys, there's a gap between the person who's successful and you. And all you got to do is fill that gap with some stuff. When you fill that gap with some stuff, there's not going to be a gap anymore. And you're going to wake up one day and listen to me. I don't like to buy expensive stuff. CJ will tell you, but I love options. Girl, I like to know I can buy a Maybach, but I just decided I don't want one. I like to know I can buy a Bentley if I want one, I just don't want one. Come on, you got to hear what I'm saying. When you are who you are. And so she says to me, I have a problem procrastinating. I said, that's not the truth. There's no such thing as procrastination. It's a lie. The word doesn't exist. She said, yes, it does. I'm always procrastinating. I said, okay, if I told you to meet me here tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, I'm going to give you $2 million. What would you do? She said, I'll be right here tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the morning to get my $2 million. I said, exactly. So you're not a procrastinator. She said, well, what am I? I said, you don't have your priorities in order. I said, well, I shouldn't get this out because this isn't a new book. I shouldn't really be giving it out yet. But I love you. I mean, I got to do it because Aaron was like, I'm giving you some stuff that you never had, so I got to do the same thing. I got to give you something that I've never given anybody, all right? Because I'm trying to get to that level, right? So I'm going to give you something. You guys can't take this. Don't take this. Don't get this out because you're going to mess my book up, all right? So there are 4 things. No, for real, people. Somebody else might have it in their book, right? So I say there are 4 things. Listen to me very closely. There is not important, it's somewhat important, it's very important, and it's an emergency. It's not important. A girlfriend of mine's called me when I was in Miami on vacation with my family. We all went to school together, kind of like family. She said, Eric, I need to borrow X amount of dollars. I said, no problem. Just text me all your stuff. I'll get it to you. She calls me the next day, Eric, you promised me you're going to send me money, my mortgage. I don't have my mortgage. I'm going to get kicked out. I said, I apologize. I'm on vacation. And I'm not about to stop what I'm doing to pay your mortgage. It's not important to me. If I happen to come across a bank on my way doing what I want to do with my family, I will deposit the money. Guess what? 4 days later, she got the money. It wasn't important to me. It's not my mortgage. It's your mortgage. And you didn't do what you needed to do to pay your mortgage. My mother used to say, don't make your emergencies mine. Number 2 is somewhat important. My son called, Dad, I left my chemistry homework at home and I'm going to flunk the test. I'm like, it's important. I would hate to see you flunk, but it's not my homework. It's somewhat important. If I happen to be coming past the school, son, I'll drop it off. It's very important. My wife asked me to do it. It's not an emergency. It's very important. Because if I don't do it, it may ruin the rest of my evening. Happy wife, happy life. But when a company calls me and says, Eric, we have your check, but you forgot to fill out the paperwork. Everything stops. And I sign. I'm not even organized. I take it to the scanner, scan it, 2 copies, wow. Get the little boom, put the send it out and call. Just want to verify that you've gotten my document. We have your document. How long will it take for the electronic check to come through? 24 hours. I'll call you in 24 hours. That is an emergency. So you got to hear what I'm saying. There's no such thing as procrastination. There is a such thing of, do you know who you are?
P-A-S-A-P. Thoughts? You like that? What you like about it?
Cool, man.
It is cool, man. Right. You like fall back, like chill, like. I heard some interesting feedback when he was like, yo, it's not my mortgage. Anybody want to chime in?
He was stressing one issue. What they see is important to somebody else and not pertain to you. So you need to balance out what is really important to you versus whatever else wants you. If whatever else wants to be important to you.
Can you think of a similar situation that you've experienced in your life where you've had to make a tough decision between what someone else values versus what you value?
Picking the girl up on the party. She tried me one day. She's gonna hit me up at 2. I mean, we was already out and partying in town, but she's gonna hit me up at 2. Hey, we stuck at Aspen. Can you really help me out? I'm like, well, I'm at home. Right? I'm kidding. She's like, well, really? Can you just? I'm like, yeah, I got you. Nigga, she called me back an hour later, 3 o'clock. We still stuck. I'm like, shit, I'm asleep. Like, I had to chop it out. I was like, don't keep calling me hours and hours later. Like, I'm not gonna do it. Right.
And that's real. So you ain't really value. Y'all ain't had the same values right now. Y'all had the same values right then. She was trying to get home. You was trying to get sleep. And it was more important for you to get sleep at that point in time. It wasn't very important for her to get a ride home from you at that point in time. All right. So how you feel about that?
I feel like I made the correct decision. It ain't kill no friendship or nothing. I mean, she knew what. Like,
okay.
So we straight, like.
Y'all still good. I'm glad y'all cool still. I'm glad y'all still cool, man. What about anyone else? Have you ever? And what about the other situations too? Because he said that not important, somewhat important, very important, emergency.
I think the person offered to take people by surprise because you're just like, well, it's not my problem. Like, it sounds rude off rip, but then you have to really think about it. Well, it's not. You could have had your mortgage paid. You should have been doing what you had to do off rip. Now you're gonna make money. It's not. It just sounds rude off rip, but once you really think about it, it's real.
So what do you do when your friend asks you for $20? Not to pay their mortgage, but I just need $20. Friends don't ask you that? That's what's up. Friends don't ask y'all for money? Y'all friends don't ask y'all for money? That's never happened to you all? That's just me? I need some new friends.
Right. My friends, they know that, like, they gonna ask me for money, like, I want to know, like, what it's for and stuff. Like, they just know how I am. I mean, he gonna give interest back. I ain't like that, they know how I am. Like, I'll give them, but you gotta tell me, like, you can't just, I ain't gonna think, I'm like everybody else.
Sure.
What about you? You got your hand up?
But yeah, I was gonna answer like I feel like the breakdown that he gave us was kind of how I treat majority of like the things I have to do. Like initially, it's not that important. Well, okay, I had a paper due today. Let's talk about it. Had a paper. I knew it was due like maybe 3 weeks ago. I was like, Kim, you gonna do it this time? You gonna start on your paper early? But you know, got homework. All right, it's still not that important. I want to say maybe last week, I was like, okay, it kind of moved up a little bit. I'm like, all right, it's a little bit more important now. Okay. Then I was like, nah, you still got time. Then it got to very important, and then it became an emergency at like 2:10, and it was due at 2:30. Yeah. I said, well, let's talk about it. I was working on it, I just never finished it. So
you have some.
I was working on it. Well, I started last night. I think it was a well-written paper. But the fact of the matter is, it went through all those stages, and it's kind of like when you get to the last minute, it's like emergency. So I feel like that's kind of how I apply it to my life.
I want to say something real quick because I think my man was hitting on something. And all of these are tools, and you determine how you use that tool. You're the handyman or woman. But at the end of the day, I want y'all to remember this. Leaders sort, right? Amateurs, they sell, right? What do I mean by that, though? So that breakdown was a sorting system, right? You sort all of the things, all of the activities on your to-do list into 4 different categories. You can determine your own sorting system. This is what Eric Thomas uses. But if you were to sort everything into that system, you would clearly see what was most important to you. If you sat down and you were to write everything that you had to do for the next 2 weeks down, you could put it in all 4 of those categories. What is the most important thing? What do I need? What would stop my life if I did not get it done? Right? If I didn't pay my rent, if I didn't pay my bills, like what are those types of things? And so if you sort from top to bottom, you can clearly see what it is that you need to do. Now, when I say amateurs sell, I mean we sell ourselves, right? If you fight for your excuses, you get to keep them. If you look for reasons, you'll find one. Right? My paper's not doing it. I got 2 weeks. Knowing that you're in school knowing that you're paying for school, knowing that your main goal is what? To graduate, right? And if that's your primary goal, it might not be everyone's primary goal, but if your primary goal is to graduate, if that's the thing that's most important to you, the highest thing on your priority list, then your actions should reflect that. And if that's the case, right? If you really are sorting effectively, then your time, your energy, your activities will reflect your priorities. So I appreciate you sharing too, because it's a great example, because I do the same thing. But part of what we're talking about today is how to make sure that you're acting in a way that is in line with whatever you decide your priorities are.
Do you think that like the ideal of procrastination is like forced by just getting by, like, you know, sometimes like you're pressed for time and then you still end up turning out at 8. Yeah, like, and then you just used to doing that. So it's like, well, I know I should, but then I always bang this out. But then at the end of the day, like if I get an 8, I'm like, dang. Or if I get a B, I'm like, shoot, I spent 8 hours right before to do working this paper. But like if I would have run on the phone, I would have got an 8. So like, do you think it's reinforced by it?
I think a lot of times we confuse the outcome and the results we have with a lot of things. With the process that's more dependent on the individual, what type of person you are. Because for instance, if you were the type of person that got F's on papers, then you wouldn't necessarily be like, okay, well, man, I don't need to do this, that. You know what I'm saying? The day before, right? But because understand, a lot of it has to do with your habits. All right, and the fact that you're getting good grades is reinforcing that habits, but you have to understand that, you know what I'm saying, neglect starts as an infection but becomes a disease, right? And that matriculates into all areas of your life. So for instance, you know what I mean, for the person, because I know people that get F's but still do their paper the day before, you know what I mean? But it's just more apparent that they got an F because they did their paper before. But for you, that may matriculate into other areas of your life. For instance, like, you know, it may you may have a meeting at 8 o'clock, right? Or you may have a speech due at 8 o'clock, all right? But you only get ready for it that day, all right? Or it might go into, okay, you know you need to get gas before you get on the road, right? But you just trying to push it. You just trying to push it. You went all the way to your own E, and you got to stop, you know, on the highway where you know gas is gonna be like 20 cents higher, but you know you should have got it before you even got on the road, right? Or the night before. So a lot of times we have to understand and not trick ourselves and just think that, okay, if I do this late, then, you know, it's just for this paper, because it starts branching out in all areas of your life. So we can't you know, confuse that, all right, because it affects everything. All right.
Absolutely. How you do anything is typically how you do everything. So if you have a half-assed approach to one area of your life, typically you're going to have that same approach in other areas. And the other thing is, just because you get an A for C work, that doesn't mean that you're exceptional. It means you're average. Right? You haven't done your best, right? You've done, just because you perform to someone else's standards doesn't mean that you get C to your own. So you have to take a strong look in the mirror and say, well, where do I want to be? What do I want to be in life? Am I living for someone else's standards or my own? Is this okay with me right now? And if it isn't, make a change. If you're cool with where you are, that's fine, right? But sooner or later, if you feel like something is a problem, you'll make a change. And motivation. Like, when y'all see these pictures, what do y'all think, man?
Yeah,
Running. Running.
You know, with the purpose,
Yeah.
great motivation.
What's the purpose of this picture?
To achieve a goal.
get money.
To achieve a goal. What's the purpose of that picture?
To live.
Getting away from things you don't need.
To win, right? You living, you winning out here. Right? I think here when we talk about motivation, there's a lot of talk about being positive, like pop psychology and, you know, life coaches and everybody out there that's trying to motivate you. They're telling you that you need to think positive, this, that, and the other. And this slide is specifically to tell you that you need to figure out what motivates you, right? I'm motivated because, for a number of reasons. I'm motivated because I don't want my lights to be cut off, right? I don't want to have to be in debt. If I miss a payment, I don't want them to be able to have to just have access to my check, right? Garnish my wages. I'm afraid of that. I don't want that to happen, right? At the same time, I also want to live a life of abundance, right? So I'm running towards something. I'm also running away from something. Like, what are some things that motivate you?
Honestly, just the whole concept of not being average. You know, and average may be different for different people. Because your level of average may be different from mine, but for me, you know, just not exceeding my own opinion or my own thoughts of where, you know, I think or where I know I can be. You know, and a lot of that also has to do with the people I surround myself with, and you know, your definition of average also has a lot to do with, you know, who you surround yourself with. Because for instance, you know what I mean, like just to harp on your situation and your group of friends, you know what I mean, you may be nice, you may be the nicest in your group of friends, right? So even when you're doing average, you're still nice to them, right? But when you start surrounding yourself with people who may be nicer than you start saying, dang, well, I need to do better. You know what I mean? And it's all about, like, you know, going back to the whole point of this presentation, becoming aware as to what you want and what you don't want, what you need to say yes to and what you need to say no to. And for that, I think that's what motivates me, because I don't want to look 40, 50 years and be like, man, I could have did more, or I had more potential, or, you know, I didn't utilize the skills that, you know, I believe God, or, you know, wherever you believe in, gave me. You know, and I think that's really what motivates me.
And so with any given situation, you really can look at it from two different perspectives. Right? Is it taking me towards something that I want, or is it taking me away from something that I don't want? Right? Usain Bolt, pretty sure he wanted to win. I'm also pretty sure he didn't want to lose. Right? This person, I'm pretty sure she didn't want to die. Pretty sure she wanted to live. Right? So it's all about your perspective, and you have to figure out what works for you. You might hear some people say, "No, don't focus on the negative, this, that, and the other." There's some truth to that. There's some credence to that. The most important thing though is to focus on what works. And if your goal is to win a fight, right, and that's in some way, shape, or form helping you do whatever you need to get by or to get ahead in life, then you keep doing that until that works. I've heard of people be like, I hate my brother, so my whole life is catered towards beating him in everything that he does, right? And that works for a long period of time, but at a certain point in time, when that stops working, you have to make a change. So whatever it is that motivates you, that's what you want to identify, and that's what you want to work for.
And just one last thing is, when you look at the things that motivate you, try to really harp on the principles and not the feelings, because like John said, if you're emotional based, like for instance, or let's say results based versus principle based. If your goal is to beat your brother in everything, you know, that he does, when you begin to beat your brother in everything that he does, then you no longer seek anything more. You become stagnant. But if you're principle based, you're constantly growing. All right, and you don't constantly have to have, you know, an accomplishment to validate yourself. Does that make sense?
So at this time, we're going to invite up two of our fellow members on the leadership team. We're really excited about them. They're great young ladies headed towards big things. So we have, it's the truth. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. They ain't pay me or nothing, y'all. But yeah, so we have Kimberly Clark and we have T. Robinson or T.
I still brought this to you. I got the stack of it. I guess I'm gonna be John for today. For now. Plenty, I got you.
I got you.
Okay. Okay, first off, we're gonna start off with the association evaluator. And now we don't have pens, y'all. So
I might got one extra.
Well, you wanna see if we can find pens? Sorry. John, we had no pens in the crib. Oh, we got one.
Okay. Everybody good. Everybody good.
Who needs a pen?
Oh, we got one. He got them all, Ken. Well, I did have enough too. Do I just hit the place I want to go? Remember.
So, do you have time for them to do it? Or just want to go? Okay. Okay, so as I said before, it's association evaluator, and basically the self-explanatory is kind of allowing you to evaluate who you associate yourself with. And in the first section right here is basically you writing down the names of people that you spend majority of your time with. So you kind of just look at that, look over the different categories and rate them from 1 to 5. And in the physical category, we're talking about basically how healthy they are, healthy with, you know. Number 1, if they don't eat right, you know, they don't exercise or do, not even necessarily exercise, but any physical activity. And 5 being they're very active, you know, they're working out like 3 times a week. That's the recommended, right? 3 to 5 times a week. Yeah. And they're doing that, you know, anywhere between. So you can kind of write that down, take a mental note, come up with your people.
Oh, they say.
Huh? 1 to 5. 1 to 5. Mm-hmm. Now in the next category, and please let me know if I'm going too fast. In the next category, we have financial. And basically, 1 being they're in debt. I'm gonna give you a little medium. Number 3 is basically any money they have coming in, they're taking care of all their most important things, be that rent, utilities, anything like that, but they still have money in the bank, not totally broke. And 5 being they're financially free. They can stop doing whatever they're doing today, and they're still gonna make money.
It's that residual income.
Mm-hmm.
What were the choices again? I'm sorry.
For financial?
Yeah.
Okay. It's 1 through 5 now. Now 1 being they're in debt, 3 is your medium. So the money that's coming in, they're using it efficiently. So they're paying their rent, their utilities, take care of business, you know, getting their car fixed, whatever they have to do. But they kind of still have money left over in the bank. They're not totally just wiped out. And number 5 is being financially free. Their money makes money for them. They could stop doing whatever they're doing today, and they can still make money.
Do you mean like with us, like how we're technically in debt? Like,
Yeah, we're in debt.
You ain't technically. It's
I
real.
got money to spend, like, but I'm in debt.
Okay, you're in debt.
Yeah,
So I'm
you're
up to
You just
zero
in
right
debt.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah, one.
One.
You get something.
So you get one. Okay, next, business and profession, and I kind of applied it to what we're going through now. We're students. So how good of a student are you? Or those that you surround yourself by? 1 being, you know, you wait till not even last minute, you don't study, you go in, you make S. 3, you know, you're like, a C student, you do all right, you make the ends meet. And number 5, you're an exceptional student, you do everything you have to do. Y'all go to them office hours, y'all talk to them teachers.
Well, if you procrastinate and you like do both, what do you do? Because I'm like, I got some 1 traits and I got some 5 traits.
So maybe
So
you like
would
an
you consider
average.
yourself an exceptional student?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
But this is about the people
it.
that you hang around with, though.
I don't really like that.
Next, you know, your mental and your attitude. Are you a negative person? You kind of look down on yourself or others. 3, you do all right, you know. You kind of believe you can make it. You know? If I work hard enough, I can make it, I guess. And 5, I know I can do it. You're willing to give yourself 1,000 second chances, and when you reach 999, press that reset button.
I see you.
I'm so sorry. Okay, next you have spiritual and loving. How much love do you show people?
Yeah, you know, our whole generation was what is IDGA? Hate the cussing.
How do you view people? Do you care about people, basically? Do you care about yourself? Like spiritual is more than just a higher being. Well, it is a higher being. So family, what's your relationship like with your family, or really the people that you're evaluating. What's their relationship like with their family? Are they always talking bad about them when their family need them? Do they come? Do they not come? If it's an emergency. Worry about that. Relationship-wise, about people that they're involved in relationships with. That could be family. Well, never mind, not family. That could be friends, intimate. Not really intimate. Significant others, things like that. Are they always arguing? Seem like a happy couple. Overall lifestyle. How would you say that they're living? Does it seem like everything's good? Or are they just really negative? It's just like, listen, you got to change. Yeah. And you just kind of average out those scores. And now we're going to break them up into 3 categories. The first category being disassociations. And these are the people who have a negative influence in your life. Can anybody think of somebody who kind of impacts them negatively?
Everybody got that one friend that she's always pessimistic about everything.
Yeah, that's that little mouse in your ear all the time.
Kind of think about those people. Following that, we have your limit associations. Now these are the good people. Y'all love them, they sweet as a button, but you know they're kind of keeping you stationary, you're stagnant, you're not moving, you're not necessarily going down, but you're not really going up either. Well, they could drag you down a little bit, I lied to y'all, so.
Hey, John.
No. Now your next section is your expanded associations. These are the people you want to hang around based on who you want to become. They kind of help expand you, you know. They make you better. They're good influences. And these are the people that you realize you kind of have to spend more of your time with. You want to spend more of your time with. They're not really weighing you down. It's like a light at the end of the tunnel. And lastly, you have your mentors. These are the people who've done what you want to do, kind of tread the waters before. They've experienced different things that you want to experience. They kind of been there, done that. And also these people, they don't have to be necessarily people that are physically in your life. They can be authors, you know, famous speakers. That talk seminars. And now, would anybody like to share just a quick little description of the people that they hang around the most, some of their characteristics, some of their qualities?
Gotcha. Well, you know, some people I met like a couple like last year, they have good quality. You know, good quality, you know, they push me to do stuff. But then I came with a group of friends back home. And you know, as we move to college, like I'm starting to feel like the older of us, like we're kind of becoming stagnant in what we're doing. You know, we always, you know, got the grades, but then it's like it's not enough anymore for me. Like I feel like it's a little bit more to life than just that GPA, and I feel like they're still stuck on that track. And like I don't feel like we're, you know how they say you have to hang around people that push you to the next level. Like I feel like we're not pushing each other, or maybe I need to like expand just my life a bit more to someone that's gonna be cool or some another group of people. yeah, never really thought I would be affected by a group of people until now. So it's like, okay, it's time to get real with life. You know, I just can't stagnate or stuck in the situation. So.
Right. Exactly. Can anybody relate to that?
Just to give like a different perspective. I'm actually out of school. I have a master's degree already.
Oh, congrats.
And you know, I just work down here for now, and I'm working through like a transition period. So I'm not really out in the village anymore, and I live in my associations with people. And right now, our focus is these things. But my primary focus right now, besides childhood, is my health. You know, as a person, continue to grow. So whoever I hang around, I don't really go back to school anymore. I don't drink sodas. Don't bring it around me. I lost like 20 pounds already.
Oh, congratulations!
Shout out to Team Health.
Right? One of those things where, you know, whenever you're trying to better yourself, you know, like on this song, what she was saying, you have to really start being around people who are trying to better themselves as well.
Right, right. Most definitely. Okay, just kind of to conclude this whole activity, basically the point of this is just to kind of open you all's eyes up to the fact that you are actually influenced by those you associate yourself with, whether you realize it or not. And sometimes, you know, you kind of got to be, you know, just pretty much bringing awareness. You have to be aware of the people that you do hang around with, and sometimes you kind of got to cut off those ties. Sometimes you have to limit those ties. Sometimes people are 3-minute people, you turn them into 3-hour people. So I know. So basically that's it, and we just kind of want to bring awareness.
And and also like piggybacking off of what Kim said, you have to realize like the influence in your life and how they affect you as well. So like my sheet is basically well, I'm gonna ask y'all a question first. Like, I know everybody got a goal, so like anybody care to share like their life goal, like in a sense?
I'll say for me, my life goal is to be to the point to where money isn't an issue, so that therefore I have, you know, to where time is at my, you know, pretty much at my expense, to where I can just do whatever I want to do with my time, and I have to worry about working.
Right. Anybody else? That's good. That's
Financially free.
I was just about to say, included. Anybody else want to share?
To like be, just to have a rich lifestyle, not necessarily monetarily, how that you want to be financially free, but just to like be abundant and grow and influence people positively.
Okay. Now, do y'all feel like the choices and influences that are in y'all life are like helping to build and helping to helping y'all to get to the point that y'all can reach that goal, or y'all do?
I feel like the influences are there, but sometimes we're not paying enough attention to the ones that we need to pay attention to.
There we go.
Like, oh, let's hang out tonight or something. So I definitely, like, you know how you know you hear your inside voice, but then you start letting everything from the outside come in, and you know it's just a conflict constantly. So.
Right. So as we go through this sheet, this is kind of to draw attention to some of those things that you don't really pay attention to. Hit it down on the head. Like, for example, like if you look at the first section, it's about really it's more so covering news, but if you all want to scratch some of the things that you really just don't participate in, scratch them out and fill it in with something that you're doing. What you're gonna do is you're gonna rate it by the level of how much time you spend on it, a day, a week, a year. And I basically did mine like through minutes. So like for the first one, I read the newspaper. I don't do it every day, so that's a 0. But per week, I do it every 20 minutes a week. And then once I did that, I multiplied it by 52 because it's 52 weeks in a year, blah, blah, blah. And that gave me a certain number of minutes, which I just divided by 60 to get 17 hours, which is a lot. But yeah, as this first section, you just go through and you rate each section and basically go through that same process for each one and then figure out the total. And my total for everything I do apparently is 57 days out of the entire year, which is clearly a lot. On just this, sitcom with other TV doing. Why? But that's besides the point. And like once you all do that, y'all want to take the time and start doing it right now. We can take a second to do that. But it's to show y'all, to bring to y'all attention, like the Pareto principle. Is it Pareto? The Pareto principle is the 20% that you're focusing on. This is 67 days out of my year. Like, is it really necessary for me to do this as much as I do? Or what do I need to cut out? Or what do I need to add in and to take the place of some of these areas? So if y'all can go ahead and fill some of that out, take a second and do that. You did do one? Yeah, you did one? I did one. Show how much time we got? 2. Oh, okay, Ashley, just gonna move on then. On the next section, what you want to do is the directions of the day. You basically want to write 3 things that you can significantly cut out that you can replace with more activities, which is going to be go right into the second part. But like for example, I wrote down on mine, I would direct my attention to more positive subjects. Like, it's not necessarily what I cut out, but I mean it is, because a lot of the gossip magazine stuff is purely negative, like about somebody's life, about celebrities, about the world. Like, it's pretty much negative. So you just take the time to write 3 things that you can cut out and that you don't mind cutting out, that you know is not beneficial to you reaching your goals. And then on the last part, you want to write 5 things that you can use to take the place of, or use to feed your mind, as it says. For example, you can write down, I wrote a couple things down. You can use positive affirmations to feed the positivity in your mind. You can use organization, because if your mind is cluttered, then your life probably is cluttered as well. Networking is a really great way to hear what other people have to say, which will open up your mind and help you to be open to other experiences in life and whatnot. And I wrote down, take the time to learn new things, because if you're not learning, then what was it, John? There it is. There it is. Dying. That's it. So yeah, that's basically my sheet, is to help you to, again, bring attention to everything that you maybe spend a lot of time on, that's really taking a big chunk out of your life that you don't realize, and just figure out how to spend it in a better way. And yeah, that concludes me and Kim. I do believe.
Man, thank God for that. Man, you all did an excellent job.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. So just alignment. We're gonna focus on this and just bring up a few points. So what motivates you, right? You want to focus on the activities that are related to what motivates you, right? You want to say yes to these activities, and that's what the sheets refer for, to help you identify what those activities are, so that you can spend more of your time and energy saying yes to them.
And another thing too is realize that there's 2 things that can motivate you: the things that you want and things that you don't want. So it's always good to hear both sides of the story, because sometimes the things that you don't want can motivate you a lot more than the material things that you may want, or you may want to get in your possession. So for instance, for me, I had an internship this summer with City of Atlanta, and one thing that I do not want is to sit in office all day. I'm too active, and I'm too much of a social person to be cramped up in the office for 6 to 8 hours a day. Like, that's something I do not ever want to do. So that really put me on course to, if I'm gonna do something, I know I'm not gonna do this. So you guys have to learn from both experiences. You got to learn from the positive side, and you got to learn from the negative side. One thing that John always touches on is the reason it's important to know what you want, because you can be motivated, as much as you want to, but then you just be a motivated idiot, right? You got to know what you want to be motivated for.
Absolutely. So then, what do you need to change? Do more of what leads to what you want, and then do more of what leads away from what you don't want. So once you identify those things, you need to go ahead and begin to structure your time and your energy in a way that will allow you to do the stuff that's most important to you. All right. And those things that are most important to you should be connected to your goals, to your motivations. All right. Next, who are you spending your time with? We just covered that, and we covered the importance of that. All right. So you got to start spending time with people who don't add any value to your life. Right, you got to be able to say, you have to be able to sort and identify these people and say, that's not my mortgage, right? You got to be able to say, you're not really adding value to my life. All right. I'm losing more than I'm winning right now. All right. And I'm uncomfortable with the amount that I feel I'm losing by spending time around you. And it may sound like a harsh statement, right? But you have to be able to articulate that to yourself and be able to identify those people. Because what happens long term is, right? Can you stand up for me for a second, Nigel? Yeah. All right, cool. All right, come step up real quick. Appreciate it. FaceTime. Just appreciate it, man. Just scoot over a little bit. All right, cool. All right, now I want you to turn 180 degrees. Cool. Now I want you to turn back 180 degrees. All right, cool. So most of the time, life is not going to give you that, right? Every now and then you might deal with like a very dramatic situation, or something might really happen that really turns your life around, whether it's for better or for worse. But typically what tends to happen is, Nigel, I want you to turn 1 degree. Turn 1 degree again. Turn 1 degree again. All right. And so if you turn 1 degree every day, 6 months into the year, you'll be facing a whole opposite direction, right? But you won't realize that until 6 months into the year, right? And so that's why it's important, thank you, Nigel, for you to be able to know who you're spending time with, right? Because that's how influence works. It nudges you, right? It doesn't flip you, it doesn't turn you, it nudges you softly. So who you're spending your time with is going to influence you, i.e. nudge you softly in whatever direction that they are ultimately heading in. So if you're hanging with positive people, they'll slowly but surely nudge you towards positivity. If you're hanging with more negative people, they'll take you in a direction that you don't want to travel in. They're going to be nudge you to the same extent in another direction. You want to spend less time with people who don't add much value to your life. Again, say no to them. Spend more time with people who add value to your life. Identify those people. Say yes, say yes, say yes. All right. So how do you decide what's a yes or no?
All right. So I don't know if you guys have heard, but have you heard me kind of go over the levels of awareness before, right? Has anybody kind of heard me go over that? All right. Well, for those who haven't, there's 4 different levels of awareness. Okay. First level awareness, right? You're walking down the street, there's a hole, you fall in the hole, but you don't realize you're in the hole, right? You're just kind of, it's kind of deep down here, right? All right? Second level awareness, right? You're walking down the street, you fall in the hole, but you're like, man, I'm in a hole, I need to get out of this, right? So for instance, in real life, there may be somebody who's in a bad relationship, but has finally realized, okay, I'm in a bad relationship, I need to get out. This ain't the move, this is not what I thought it was, I ain't signed up for this. All right, third level awareness. Walking down the street, you see a hole, and you like, psych, right? You're not gonna fall in it, right? You're like, nah, but you ain't gonna catch me again. All right, then there's the final level awareness. All right, you're walking down the street, you see a hole, and you're like, man, I'm not about to walk down that street. I'm going somewhere else, right? And that's where you have to get to. All right, you have to be so in tune with different situations in your life that you can spot it out and go a whole different direction before it even happens. All right, so that's where this alignment comes into play. How do you get what you want? Okay, you have to have awareness, right? Then the next step is knowledge, right? You have the knowledge, now what do you do with that? You develop yourself. All right, then after you continue to develop yourself, you obtain mastery. All right, does that make sense?
So how do you tell if what you're doing is working? Well, first, we spend so much time in Millionaire Mindset Club, not talking about money, but talking about your mindset, talking about your awareness level and understanding of what you want and how to get it, right? So this is where fruits versus roots comes into play, right? You have to first decide and understand what type of fruits that you want, right? That is the ultimate goal, right? If you want an apple tree, you're not going to look for pear seeds, right? If you want an oak tree, you're going to find acorns. So you have to begin with the end in mind, right? Once you do that, you have to then begin to cultivate and recognize and try. That's the development piece. You have to try stuff until you figure out what works. And as you do that, you'll begin to either get the results that you want, right? You'll feel it, you'll see the results, you'll feel better about things, or you'll get results that you don't want, right? Because you know at the end of the day, you want apples. Right? Your goal is to grow an apple tree. At the end of the day, you're going to be looking for your apple seeds to grow into an apple plant that produces apples, right? That's another thing. You have to have clear and appropriate expectations, right? Don't buy apple seeds if you want to grow a pear tree, right? So a lot of times what people do when they do start trying different things is they focus on their results, their actions, their strategies, their plans, their goals, which are good. But what you really need to examine if you're not getting the results that you want are actually your roots, right? And these are the things that really determine how you grow and how effective you grow, right? So these are things like your core beliefs. Do you believe that you can do it, right? Do you believe that that you should be doing it, right? How do you feel about money? Is money the root of all evil? Or is the love of money the root of all evil? Are wealthy people evil? And if your goal is to be wealthy and you believe on a very core level that wealth is bad, you'll constantly sabotage yourself. You'll never reach that goal. Absolutely. So your core beliefs, your basic identity beliefs, who are you? Are you someone that is deserving of abundance, right? Have you been surviving your whole life? Have you been suffering your whole life? And do you know anything else besides procrastination? Do you know anything else besides that, right? Is that working for you? Is that who you want to be? Your basic identity beliefs, your assumptions, right? Is it always going to be this way? Your habits, things like that, your need for belonging. What groups do you want to belong in? Who do you want to fit in with, right? So that's the stuff that you really need to examine. So if you're getting grades, perfect example, if you study real hard, you get your test back and there's a C, right? You have a C on your paper. If you're focused on the fruits, most people would try to erase the C and write an A. Does that change your grade? What do you have to do if you really want to change your grade? Right. Study habits. Change your beliefs. Change your emotions about studying so that you actually study. Change your protection patterns. What do you do when you fail? How do you respond when you got that C and you wanted that A? How did you respond? Do you drop out of school? Right? Do you go get drunk? Do you self-sabotage? So these are all things that you want to examine, and these can help you determine what it is that you want to say yes to and what you need to be saying no to.
Yeah, and like John said, a lot of times what I see happen is people look at the results at the end of the week instead of the efforts during the week. And that's really what makes that difference. Okay, because like you said, it's those small things that you're doing. It's that small 20%, all right, that really makes a difference at the end of the week, whether you got A or B, or whether, okay, you got this amount of money, or, whatever is at the end of the week for you. All right, you have to look at the little things at the beginning that you're doing to really determine what the outcome is going to be.
Absolutely. So, quick review. We went over the Pareto principle. That's the 80-20 rule. Then we hit on motivation. Remember, all right, you have to figure out what works for you. All right, is it something that you want or is it something that you don't want? Are you moving towards pleasure or away from pain? Either one is fine if it is working for you. The minute it stops working for you, figure out what will work for you. All right, inputs. All right, who are you spending your time with? How are you spending your time? What activities are you spending your time on? And are they related to the things that motivate you and the things that you want out of life? Alignment. How do you make sure that those things are in line with each other? Remember, awareness, knowledge, development, and then mastery, right? And then how you determine whether or not you're developing in the right direction. You have to make sure you're clear on your results, examine your fruits, make sure you're getting the fruits that you want by looking at the roots. So that's all we got for you all today. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? We'll go over this time. All right. Well, we appreciate y'all for coming out and tuning in. And y'all are welcome to stay back if y'all have anything y'all just want to chit chat about.